Hey guys, this is the Ultimate One coming to you live from New York City. This is the Chokeslam Wrestling Report Wrestlemania Review Night 2. I have a special guest today. His name is JM. He has a podcast on YouTube called Good Old JM. He puts new content there. You guys can check out his page. His page if you want to check it out. His YouTube channel. I mean, he brings a lot of good content. So what's up, JM? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on here. I hope everyone's doing well and staying safe at home and healthy during this crazy time. But yeah, despite all that, we were still able to have some WrestleMania show the past couple of nights.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're here now.
Yeah, so I mean, I did a review on WrestleMania Night 1. We're gonna work. We're gonna do the WrestleMania Night 2 because if we do the both of them, we'll be here all night. But I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think the WrestleMania Night 2 was it was pretty good, with the exception, I say the last two matches, and that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5. Overall, was a 3 out of 5. But I think we could start off with the Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. This match was pretty good.
Yeah.
My problem with that is what WWE did was not let Rhea Ripley keep the belt. I felt that this young lady is the future of wrestling, and she only had probably one title defense, 2 title defenses. She had the belt, and for her to drop it off to Charlotte, I felt that it was like you pretty much killed the women's division because now Charlotte's there. I don't know. That's my opinion. What's your thought about that?
Well, it's obvious. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's obvious. All signs are pointing that Charlotte has gone back to NXT, taking a step back, going to work with the new faces there, I guess, to help develop them. I think they still could have done that move without Charlotte being champion and defeating, like you said, one of the future talents in Rhea Ripley. But supposedly there was a favor owed to her by Vince, and it all started by her winning the Royal Rumble this year.
Well, I mean,
title run or whatnot, and
but did you notice something though? And this, I thought about this last night. That all 3 ladies who supposedly started the women's revolution all have belts. Becky Lynch, Baylee, and Charlotte, with the exception of Sasha Banks. So it's like when I saw that, it's like you're saying the 4 horsemen, the women, are the most dominating women in that whole both 3 divisions. But I feel like it's like they're going backwards though. I mean, I feel like Charlotte's been like 10 times champion, whatever it's been, and I feel like they went backwards. And I understand what you mean, that they brought her in to help develop the younger girls, but so now they're going backwards. Because for that, you could have still have Rhea Ripley hold the belt and Charlotte being that big heel. You know what I'm saying? Because now, if you think about it, now we're gonna get to this. What's her name? Bianca Belair may not be in NXT anymore after what happened last night. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, I feel that she's not gonna move the needle. I'll tell you that much. Not in NXT, and especially if they supposedly at war with AEW. She's not moving the needle. I mean, because she was there before, and she would. The NXT was not getting the ratings they needed. So I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. What's your thoughts? I mean,
do
you think she moved the needle at least?
I mean, Charlotte, yeah, she's a name. No matter which brand she goes to.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll probably push the needle a little bit in interest alone to see who she'll face. And I mean, just goes to show creatively what else can she do, or what else can they do with her to stay relevant, to stay at the top. And I just think, not that I'm too disappointed of Charlotte winning, but winning a title that she's had already 2 times, and like you said, stepping backwards. Where do you really go from there? Now she's going to be on top of another mountain that has ratings lagging for the past few weeks, regardless of what's been going on in the rest of the world. But it's like kind of leaving a bad taste in some of the mouths of other fans, like me, for example. I was like, yeah, like we get that, but at the same time, I don't get it. Why? And of course, there's going to be someone out there. Well, you don't book committees, and well, this is this is what's been wrong with the
Yeah,
creatives
you're right.
many
But
years. So
I mean,
there's really not much that. Yeah,
it's like what you said. You said that it's a favor from
yeah,
that McMahon owned her, but I mean,
yeah,
what favor can you give? The woman has won the WWE titles, Raw and SmackDown together almost 10 times. So,
yeah.
what kind of favor were you giving? Like, I don't understand it. I
Mm.
mean, I don't know. So,
To stay relevant or to stay at the top, to have a title belt because it means more money when you carry a belt or a title.
yeah. Let me see. Let me see. So I think after that match, I mean, it left me a bad taste in my mouth, to be honest, because the hello, hello.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought I lost you.
yeah. You hear
Um,
me?
go ahead.
Yeah.
You got another call? Hello.
No, no. Go ahead. No, no. I was listening to
Okay.
you.
Okay.
You hear me? Hello.
To me, yeah. To me, the way I see it is like they left a bad taste in the mouth, my mouth, like the same thing they did the
Yeah.
night before with Shayna and Becky Lynch. I thought Shayna was going to win the belt, and when I saw this last night, I said to myself, "Wow, this is the way they started night two." But I mean, don't get me wrong, the
Right.
match was great. These girls went. I mean, Rhea Ripley sold that knee injury all night. You know, so
Oh, she was screaming bloody murder, thinking her leg was cut off or something.
yeah. But it was good selling. You know what I'm saying? Not like
Oh yeah, definitely.
Not like what I saw on the first match in on night one with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, and one of the Kabuki Warriors threw her against the corner, and she didn't sell
Yeah.
it at all. So,
Yeah.
so we're gonna go to the next match. This match, I thought they shouldn't have even had it, but it was Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. I thought this match was pretty much it was like another Raw match. It wasn't
Yeah.
WrestleMania worthy.
Hmm.
There was no build. But I mean, I guess they needed to put Aleister Black there since they wasted most of the year last year putting him in a damn closet or whatever he was at. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, and Bobby Lashley, I mean, I feel bad for the guy because he's not wrestling like the way he used to wrestle in Impact. So
Right.
I don't know. What's your thought about that? I mean, what's your thought of both of these wrestlers that I think they should be pushed better in WWE?
Yeah, they both deserve better, especially Lashley, who's basically returned, and Alistair, who came from across the pond, as they say. And yeah, I've read and heard all about the non-build up to this match. It's just another Raw match, as you said. But thinking old school, going back a little bit, just to, well, then again, not to give away too much how old I am, but if you go back to WrestleMania 5,
Oh yeah, WrestleMania
and
5. That was Randy and Hogan. That was
right,
the
but
main event.
I was giving this example to a friend of mine, but no, not only a main event because that had a whole year of build up,
Yeah.
and it's rare nowadays to have those. But specifically further back in that same card, you had Ted DiBiase versus Brutus Beefcake.
Yes. Yeah.
Now there was no build up to that, not even a Superstars of Wrestling or Wrestling Challenge. They just threw them in together for the sake of throwing them in together, and even the commentators were trying to basically justify why they're wrestling that night, or because they got similar finishing moves, which is the sleeper hold. And that was it. And I was a huge fan of Beefcake back then, and just to see him at a WrestleMania event, period, which was not all the time, not every year, especially after his accident. But the point being, it's still possible to still have matches without any build-up. And I think too many people read into it like, why should I care about this match? I mean, the match wasn't like 5 stars or whatnot in the Tokyo Dome, but I found it entertaining. Lashley showed off his power and strength, and Alistair was trying to keep up with him, but with the speed and whatnot. And just look at the ending of it. It's the typical like David versus Goliath kind of match, and obviously they're trying to support Alistair Black as much as possible by getting a win over Bobby Lashley at a Mania show.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a bad match. That one thing
No,
because you saw how Lashley, I believe he attacked him in the beginning and he kept going on top of him. At one point, I think Aleister Black tried to do a moonsault from the outside corner and landed on his feet, and Lashley just leveled him. But
oh yeah,
Lashley showed he could be a good heel, and
mm.
he was dominating most of the match. And if you
Mm-hmm.
notice that ever since Aleister Black has been up in the WWE, in the Raw roster or the SmackDown roster, whatever, he's always been like the comeback guy. And when he was in NXT, he wasn't. He was that dangerous guy. Now he's up here, he's
Right.
in a different role. But it wasn't a bad match. I just felt that I don't think they should have been there, but because of what happened, all these wrestlers dropping out. I mean, you had like
Right.
almost 8 wrestlers dropping out. Supposedly they're not saying it's coronavirus or COVID-19. They're not saying it, but
Right.
they had to do what they had to do. I guess they threw him Aleister Black. I mean, Aleister Black should have been in the storyline where with Undertaker and AJ, because remember the OCs. I think AJ pinned Aleister Black. I think
Right.
a couple of weeks ago, and I think they should have kept on with that. But I guess they figured like, you know what, let's throw him in there. It wasn't a bad match. I give it like probably a 3-star match. I mean, he called Lashley lovely with that black mask.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But it was a good match. I mean, but I think they should push them better. I think these guys, and this is the sad part, Aleister Black should have been already going for the WWE title by now.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. Brock at that time, Brock Lesnar versus Aleister Black. That would have been that's WrestleMania worthy. So I don't know. The next match was Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. This, what's funny? I usually don't really care about storylines when it comes to there's a woman involved, whatever. But I was really looking
Yeah.
forward to this. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually sat there and really put mind to this match, and I like the whole concept, the whole thing, how they put it. And at the end, he ends up winning and getting Mandy Rose. I mean, I had a feeling Sonya Deville was going to be involved in that somewhere. When I think the text, 'cause I really wasn't following the story, but I used to read about it, and I saw the part when I think the Valentine's skit that they did. So I had a feeling it was Sonya Deville that had something to do with it, but it was cool to me. I liked it. What do you think?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was one of the very few interests that SmackDown had going on at the time. Be curious to see where they take it this coming week on Friday. But I mean, it was the only result to go with, and they build, and for a while, there was like maybe a week or so that it went without acknowledging what was going on, and all those participants were off TV, and then it just came back out of nowhere seemingly, and it had the fans' interest. But I was glad to see how it paid off, and yeah, I mean they pulled it off really well. Maybe there'll be a mixed tagging it up later on. Who knows? It's not like that option's not off the table, but I was glad to see Otis get it the win and the girl at the end.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. You know that. You know how WWE works. Now they're going to have mixed tag match, Mandy Rose and Otis against Sonya Deville and Dolph Ziggler. And somewhere down the line, I could see it happening where Mandy Rose is probably going to turn on him, and there's always a setup. But I mean, for what it was worth, you can imagine if that was in the football stadium with fans, how cool that would be. You know what I'm saying? And the first thing that came into my mind was WrestleMania. I'm gonna take you back now. WrestleMania 7 with Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior, the retirement match, and when Elizabeth came back and how people were so emotionally involved in that storyline. It would have been. I think it would have been the same. Being that Otis is like this lovable guy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Mandy Rose, the hot chick, and people would have been, I think people would have got into it real, there would have been emotions in the fans' face if they would have had the cameras on them, But, eventually they had to do it at the Performance Center. But, I think it was a good match. I mean, it's not like they were boring. It wasn't boring. So this is the part where I said, when I got to that point where the Otis, I'm like, okay. All right, I'm not happy that what's her name? Oh my God, the championship match, Rhea Ripley, didn't win the belt, but the card is getting better, So here comes the part where we probably was. He said you was dozing off. The last man standing match between Edge and Randy Orton. I mean, I like the way it started in the beginning because. Nobody, and I'm sure you wasn't even expecting this, that Randy Orton would be one of the cameramans.
Yeah.
and he RKO Edge. I mean, I found that very good. But then after that, it was just like, when is this shit going to end? You know, your thoughts. Give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, it started off pretty well, typical Randy Orton fashion, sneaking in, slithering, whatever you want to call it. And it got physical. It looked like it wasn't going to last long. We're trying to push and drill to your head that Edge has to surgically repair a neck and blah, blah, blah. But once it got backstage, I'm like, okay, let's see how this is going to work. And the way it dragged, I'm thinking, well, you know what? Thank you, WWE, because I don't know if you're aware or anyone else is aware of this, that they would charge you up to $2,000 to take a tour of the PC from beginning to end, from top to bottom, left and right, whatnot, just for a tour.
$2,000?
Yeah,
Just to visit the PC.
just to take a tour. Yeah.
Oh hell no! Go ahead.
So, but we got one for free. I guess, well, technically speaking, but you know, we got one from one side to another of that building. A lot of storage space, but
Yeah, I know. I saw, and it's funny because now that you say that, I was looking at the part when they were fighting, and there was large woods, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
is that the plywood they use for the wrestling? And I'm like, where the hell they got so many damn wood? And I forget that when they do training, they have at least 3 rings. That was, all at one time. But I was like, there was a lot of ladders. There was a lot of woods, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
There was like at least a 2 or 3 story ladder standing there. I thought they were going to use that. That was next to the truck towards the end there. But yeah,
did you see the part where they in that big office, and they claimed it was a steel wood, and at one point there's a picture. I don't know who it was. I think Kevin Owens on it, and he smashed Randy into the glass. And I'm saying to myself, I would have laughed if that shit would have broke. You know, I don't think that was part of it. Oh.
No, but yeah, who hangs mesh like a chain steel mesh gate fence, whatever you want to call it, on ceiling of an office?
Yeah, I know. And then he yo, I laugh because I'm like, what did he just do? He just grabbed that gate mesh, and then he just elbow dropped them on the. Supposedly they claim it was a steel table. So you're gonna do that? It didn't make no sense. I mean, I don't know. They were just trying to entertain us at that point. So I mean, and I know that at one point they kind of cut, and then I think was the part when the cameraman got knocked out. Remember that?
Yeah.
They cut it. They cut.
Yeah, that was
I think the cameraman got hurt for real.
Yeah. Yeah, they jump cut that. So this is the advantage of them having to pre-tape these events for the past week, and they aired it the past 2 days. And yeah, it was bound to happen. I mean, there were a couple of jump cuts. If you know how to look for them, you see them. But overall, it was mostly a flawless event. Yeah. But for the last night, again, it went way too long. And what was disappointing about that also is that the buildup was great. They had a month and a half worth to stretch to finally get to WrestleMania last night. And it's like, okay, when is this going to end? We got other matches to get to. And it would have surprised me. I mean, I didn't time it, but it would have surprised me if it went at least 40, 45 minutes. That's way too long.
It went 36.
36. Jeez, look at that.
36 minutes. I'm telling you, bro. I was taking notes again. So, just for my safekeeping. And I'm telling you, I filled out 3 papers. Taking notes and notes and notes. I mean, they all he kept doing was throw. I mean, there were parts here where he jumped off he went up the ladder and then he elbow dropped him through the table, and I thought that was over. I mean, I like the way the ending ended. That part of the ending, I think they took too long to get to the ending, and the ending part was good because it was like in the beginning. Remember when he came back from the Rumble, Randy Orton hit him with the concerto. So best good way to finish it was the same way with the concerto. So
right.
But dude, it was too long, man. I mean,
right.
It was like I was like, when is this shit gonna end? Like, I'm looking at the time, I'm like, yo, this is never gonna end. So, that's my thought about it. I mean, I get what you're saying. Also, I'm sure you're probably falling asleep, almost falling asleep, just waiting to see somebody again. But overall, I mean, I think they did it because they know. I mean, What would it be if they would have been fans? Would they take it that long just to do all that? Would they took it to the point where they would have took a high risk and both of them would have got injured? You know, who knows? But they had to, I guess they had to do that because it was the last man standing. You know,
Right.
so. But then they killed it after we saw that. Then they go and put what was it, a 24/7 with
Right.
that dude. I got nothing to say about that. That was garbage. I'm like I knew when he came out night one, the truth, our truth. I'm like Gronkowski's gonna end up winning the 24/7 by night two, and sure enough, it happened. I don't know. I mean, what's your thought about him being there? I mean, to me, honestly, I see it as he's just a headliner. You know, just to
Right.
have his name all over, sports. Because last night, as soon as he won the belt, I get a notification from Scores, and it's talking about
Yeah.
how Gronkowski, whatever, Gronk, won
Yeah.
the WWE title. They didn't specify until you open the damn link. But what's your thought about him being there? I mean, to me, like him, Mojo Rawley's a jobber, so I don't understand that. Well, what's your
I
thought on
mean,
that?
it's been done before for decades, where you got a former NFL player trying to have his hands in WWE, and some, not all, but some have been successful. They'll see the top. Some of them will take years to get there. But with Gronkowski, they tried something with him back in Mania in Orlando. That didn't really go anywhere. It was just to see how the fans would react. But it took this long to finally get him to sign and become a free agent or whatever. And yeah, I don't think they're going to see too much potential in him immediately right off the bat. Just having him for the 24/7 title, I would have thought they would at least maybe tonight or next week have a pre-taped Raw episode where he's teaming up with Mojo, trying to get his feet wet, so to speak, and have a tag team out of them. I'm not saying go for the tag titles. No, I mean, if that happens, give it a year or so, maybe more. But he still needs to establish and basically pay his dues, so to speak, in the ring and in front of an audience. Because it's a different crowd when you play at a football arena and you got your game going on. But to be in front of in this case, a WWE audience, it is completely different. Many will know who you are, where you're from, but it's going to be a different type of reaction and reception. And to have him win the 24/7 title like he tried Saturday and then he got it last night, okay, good for you. And that just goes to show what they think of that 24/7 title. It's entertaining for a minute, but then it's like where else do you go from there?
I could see a. I mean, it may sound stupid, but to me, I mean, we're talking about WWE here. I could see Mojo Rawley having some type of feud with Gronk over that fact that he pinned him for the 24/7 title, and now he got
Right.
like a little storyline, and then he'll move on, and Mojo Rawley will be out of the picture back in catering with Titus. So, but I don't know. I mean, to me, it's like what I don't get. Like what my brother said, he said, "How is it that you bring guys like that into WWE acting foolish, acting themselves, but then you got a bunch of wrestlers in there that they're behind and catering that you're not using, and don't give them creative ideas for them to use what they think is good for them." So I don't understand it. I don't really understand it.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. And speaking to some from that venue, from behind the scenes, hell, even some relatives from back in the day, like they come to a point where they tell you, like pretty much to me, that's the kiss of death. Once someone tells you from creative, like we have nothing for you, we have nothing creative for you, and it's been going on for a week or so, like I'm done. So I'm just gonna let my contract run out. I'm not gonna renew. I'm just gonna go somewhere else, or maybe take time off to to rethink my career choices.
Yeah.
But it's just a shame that it always comes to it, and they released pretty recently in the past couple of years very good talents, and if the logic is, well, I don't want you to go to AEW or Japan or wherever, well, do something for me. Think of something for me to do.
Yeah,
And
you know what it is that McMahon, once he doesn't like you, that's it.
yeah,
You're done. This is why.
right,
That's why Shayna Baszler did not win the belt because he doesn't care for NXT talent, to be honest, and that's the way I see it. I mean, we're gonna go right straight to one NXT tag team talent that I felt they were good when they were in NXT, and a guy who is in NXT and a young wrestler who, even though McMahon likes him, he
hmm
teamed him up last night with Hector Garza, and that's Austin Theory. and they went against the Street Profits. And this match, I mean, again, another, like, to me, a regular Raw match because there was no build up. There was nothing. Originally, it was supposed to be Hector Garza and Andrade, but Andrade got sick, so they put in Austin Theory. Now, Austin Theory, I followed him from, I think, last year when I first saw him wrestling in Evolve, and he was the Evolve World Champion.
Yeah.
I forgot who he beat, but he became double champion. And I said, this guy, he's 21 years old. He is the future of wrestling. And next thing you know, he went and he signed with the Performance Center. He's doing great at NXT. They bring him up because Andrade gets sick and team him up with Hector Garza. And they made him look like shit last night.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, that's creative for you. It's all about getting who they want to see you get over, you get behind. Yeah, we get it. You know, Garza and Theory were playing the heels and whatnot. But you can still get heels over by being a little bit creative for them and pull out these tactics during the match to get the heat on them, as they say. Yeah. But I get without the crowd, it's kind of difficult to do that. But you're watching from home, like, wait, Theory's doing that, Garza's doing this. I can see they're trying to get the heat on them. But yeah, maybe it was because it was short notice. They weren't too sure, especially when it came to to go over the match. But it was okay for what it was. Who knows how different it would have been if Andrade was part of it. And from what I'm hearing, it would have been a completely different picture because Rey Mysterio was supposed to be involved somehow, but then he was self-quarantined weeks ago. Samoa Joe as well, but he got hurt again. So
and suspended at that.
Yeah, and suspended on top of that. So it was like, geez, what? And all this before the craziness happened around the world. So creative. When I look at it from their point of view, got painted to a corner, weren't sure what to do as one domino fell after another, and the end result is what we got last night.
Yeah. They didn't even have a host because, of course, Gronk won the 24/7 and bringing in Titus O'Neil. I was like, oh shoot, it's catering time, and I was like, oh god. Then they had their fatal 5-way match with Sasha Banks, Lacey Evans, Tamina. Of course, Tamina was in there because Dana Brooke, out of all people, had a title shot. I was like, what the hell? Naomi and Baylee. This match was. I like the way they booked Tamina as a big monster heel there. But I knew she was going to get eliminated first. And they don't got no respect for this woman. They never did. And they never will. But overall, I like the way it ended because now we're going to have the Sasha versus Baylee. Because, as you all know, they were double teaming Lacey Evans and she got hit by Baylee, supposedly by mistake with a knee. Ended up this girl tried to help her double teamed her, and then she got caught with the woman's right.
Women's right.
Yeah, women's right. She got caught, but Baylee got lucky because then Sasha came in and backstabbed Lacey, and Baylee ended up winning the match. I mean, I like the way the women's match was good. I think it's probably one of the best women's matches they had throughout the WrestleMania both nights. Well, besides the Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, but this was pretty good. I love the way it ended. Now it makes you want to see more now, and that's the way they should be doing to every match where you want to see what's going to happen next. And now we definitely going to see a Sasha Banks versus Baylee now, not in NXT, now in SmackDown. Your thoughts?
Right. I mean, it was bound to happen eventually. I know Sasha had a little powwow after last year's Mania, and that delayed a lot of potential angles there. But here we are a year later, and things seemingly are going pretty good for Sasha, creative-wise anyway. She's on TV every week. Of course, Baylee being one of the women's champions. And, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say at this point that we're not going to get that 4-on-4 horsewomen versus horsewomen match anytime soon. I mean, Ronda's out. Shayna, who knows what's going to happen to her moving forward after tonight. And everyone else is pretty much MIA. I mean, not even in NXT. So that's my own personal gripe about it.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing that right now all we could be looking forward to is that Baylee against Sasha, because Ronda may not be back. Probably maybe Survivor Series, maybe Survivor Series, maybe next year. Charlotte, you already know she's the NXT champion. She's not going to be in the main brand. for the for the future. So she's probably going to be in NXT. And Becky Lynch, I mean, we're going to see more boring stuff from this woman. I cannot stand her anymore. So I don't know, but I mean, the only thing is interesting now. I will see, and it's funny because I don't watch WWE like I used to because of how it's been the last year and a half. But if there is a Sasha versus Baylee, I definitely want to see how he's going to go. If it's going to be the same way it was in Takeover 1 and Takeover 2. I mean, I doubt it. I highly doubt it because, they don't wrestle the same way in the main roster as they wrestle in NXT.
Right.
So, that's something, to look forward to. But, it is what it is. Now we're going to go to the Funhouse match. This was very, very confusing for me at first because, I mean, it was funny. It was hilarious. I enjoyed it. I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it took me toward the end when the Fiend came out and choked out John Cena. So, and then they had Bray Wyatt at one point showing 1, 2, 3. I said, okay, so I guess that's it. That's it. That's the end of John Cena. John Cena's retiring there because that's what it looked like.
Right.
Overall, the production, the way they doing the cinematic stuff they did, it was pretty good. I liked it. I loved it. I loved the whole. I think it was way better than the Boneyard. That's the way I see it. It was way better. It was a little bit confusing to me at first. So toward the end, I was like, what the hell's going on? But it was funny. It was entertaining. It felt confusing at the end. Your thoughts?
Yeah, like you, I was very entertained. Pretty much no one expected what they were going to see. It was really creative in the part how they quote took John Cena, well, the Fiend that is Bray Wyatt, took John Cena to these multiple / alternate universes and how it could have been. But it was just really to mess with Cena's head, and that's all that was really, this teleportations and time travel and whatnot. But at the same time, as an old school fan like I am, like, oh man, remember those days?
Yeah.
To put Cena in those what if scenarios when if he was part of the NWO, how that would have looked like. And
that was cool. That was cool. How he would be if he would have won a WCW, became an NWO member.
Right, and that opportunity was there, but obviously he ended up with WWE a couple of years later. But I would assume, that this is the end for Cena for now. If the idea for him was to like come in, put someone else over, or give it back to Bray Wyatt after WrestleMania 30, then okay, great. So as the term goes, 50-50 booking 6 years after the fact, but Fiend finally got his win. But I still feel some of the momentum Fiend had, especially after dropping the title to Goldberg a month ago.
That was a disgrace.
I mean, it's very not difficult, but it's going to not be an easy trip either to get back to where he was momentum-wise moving forward. And
so you think now that who the hell is the SmackDown champion now? The Universal champion is Braun Strowman, right? So do you think that? I see it like this. I think that maybe the Fiend gets his belt back from Braun, and then Roman takes it from the Fiend.
Yeah, that was my concern too. Also, with what happens after the WWE title match, that I'm sure we'll discuss here in a second. That I hope, if not one, then both of Braun Strowman and the WWE Champion don't become transitional champions. That it was just for the sake of getting it off these other guys that are practically part timers, and pass along to someone that's a full time, only to pass it along shortly after to someone else that is definitely a full timer, and now have, for example, Braun Strowman as a former champion chase that title for a little while.
Talking about part-timers, we're going to go straight to the Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. I felt bad for Drew McIntyre because this guy waited for, 9 years? Something like that?
Yeah.
And I remember when he first came to WWE that he was called the Chosen One from McMahon. Yeah. And then he went from the Chosen One to next thing to a 3-man band, air guitaring and all that. He goes to TNA. He makes a name for himself. He comes back. He wins the NXT championship. And now he comes back to the main roster. And only for him now to win the title with no fans. And my thoughts on this match, this reminded me of the Braun Strowman Goldberg, with the
Yeah,
only difference was it was a little longer. Brock was able to hit some pounding on Drew McIntyre. All these guys there with F5 and Claymore. That's it. And it lasted 4 minutes. And I was arguing with somebody online last night because they said, "Oh, I'd rather have Drew McIntyre as a champion and then cross the old Brock, right?" I said, "But you're not
right.
getting the point. If you're building a match, you got to at least put in at least 10 to 15 minutes, at least 10 to 15. Make it exciting. You know what I'm saying? But because I think Brock has limited, not limited, it's because WWE makes them limited.
Mhm.
Limited moves. This like lasted what, 4 minutes?
Right. I mean, it was great to see that version of Lesnar back in 2016 when he demolished Cena at SummerSlam that year and just complete dominating him. And then a couple of matches later with the title, and there would be months in between each title defense, and it just became more and more of the same thing of Lesnar. Okay, this is all you're doing now. You know, there's no more jumping over the top rope or trying to climb to the second rope or anything like that. Be a little bit more technical than you are as a shoot fighter nowadays or an MMA fighter. And Lesnar, to me personally, he just got boring as time went on, and even worse for me when he won the title the last time. So, oh, great, now we gotta see this guy hold this title hostage like he did with the Universal title before.
Yeah. The fact that they went and gave him the belt. I mean,
Yeah,
Kofi Kingston had this. He didn't have a great reign, but then you're gonna go and embarrass Kingston on a 6 seconds for Brock to get it
yeah.
back, just to then go promote who the hell is this? King Velasquez. And for what?
Oh god.
And then you bring him in. You bring him into Saudi Arabia for a 2 minute match against Brock. Brock beats him. So basically, since Brock has had this belt, I mean, he hasn't really gone past 5 minutes. He beat Ricochet, like he squashed Ricochet, and
Yeah.
then he gets in this match. They build it up. I mean, he did. I mean, what he did at the Royal Rumble was amazing because I mean, he was the first guy. He was in there for a long time, but I didn't even expect Drew McIntyre to take him out. But then you do that, and I'm like, I see that. I'm saying, wow, this is going to be great. This be two guys because I always thought Drew McIntyre should have had the world title by now. You know, and they kept.
Yeah, definitely much sooner.
Yeah,
And even at Rumble, Lesnar, he basically had what up until McIntyre came out, 15 guys, 14 guys before McIntyre came out.
yeah, he was
So
number
this,
16.
yeah, so Lesnar ended up having literally 15 2 minute matches with everybody that came out one at a time. So
Yeah,
that's a Lesnar match for you, 2 3 minutes, depending who they're going to want to squash that night. I was really disappointed how they treated Shinsuke that night.
yeah.
Pretty much could have had like a nice, at least a 5 minute rematch with Lesnar from the New Japan days. But it
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
it.
yeah. And even their match was more longer than 5 minutes. Their match in New Japan was about 20, 25. So,
Yeah, that was an
but
awesome
did
match.
you but did you notice something though? Something I never seen when Brock loses, and that was Brock while Drew McIntyre celebrating. Right, they got the spotlight on him. Brock is
Mhm.
still laid out in the middle of the ring, and
Yeah,
I'm like, why is he still laying out there? You know. So I'm like, this is the way they're closing out the show. I was like, okay, this is. I mean, bro. I mean, it was disappointing because and maybe because of what's going on in the world right now. You know, no fans and none of that. You expect
yeah,
more. Overall, I mean, to me, WrestleMania as a whole on both nights. I think
hmm
that I'm gonna close it out with this. I'm just wanting your opinion on this. My
yeah,
opinion on those both nights. I think the matches that saved WrestleMania was the three-way tag team for the SmackDown title, which was Morrison, Uso, and Kofi Kingston. Rollins versus Owens. Last night, well, I could say last night. I don't think last night we had anything that saved the damn show. You know what I'm saying? Because of the edge of Orton was too long. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It's 36 minutes of this. I think the Charlotte. I'm gonna put it this way: the Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, regardless what the results were, I wasn't happy about it. It was a good match.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty much on par with that. There were a handful of matches that didn't really deliver as much, regardless of any hype to it or backstory to it. There was a discussion for the past week or so in what order and which matches would be on what day. So they were really scrambling to see how to evenly divide both nights. If you want to look at it as two separate events, part one and part two, yeah, everyone's still talking about the Boneyard match and night one. And last night was more about the Funhouse match and the quick decision to have Drew McIntyre to become champion over Lesnar. Last man standing, I mean, should have maybe cut off 10 minutes of it. I think it would have been all right. But it is what it is. Of course, the Charlotte and Rhea Ripley was great. Fatal Five-Way. Thankfully,
I forgot the Fatal Five-Way. That's another match that would have saved it last night.
Right. Time-wise, I think it went reasonably long enough. And to have the order of elimination was fine, and the outcome, it is what it is, because obviously the story there still to be told between Sasha and Baylee.
Yeah.
But to pinpoint exact savior for the night, I mean, honestly, I was more entertained with the Funhouse match, and like really happy for Drew to finally win the title. Everything else, as good as it was, I mean, just wasn't up to par for me to be as good as Funhouse and championship match at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. I mean, all I know is that I want to see how they're gonna follow this up tonight.
Yeah.
Because I know it's taped, but
Yeah.
we're gonna see what happens because now so Drew is the champion. Now you gotta ask yourself, and like I told somebody, who is a heel enough and who's heel in that roster, star power wise, is going to be his next challenger. I mean, the word was going around there may be Seth Rollins, but then somebody told me, why would they give it to Seth Rollins if Rollins just lost to Owen? Again, this is WWE, and they're going to push who they want to push. So
it's been done before. Logically, you're asking yourself why he just lost. How many matches he lost last night? And he's getting a title shot and all that. Yeah, granted, but in their logic, who really is the best heel that they have right now, at least on the Raw side of things, than Seth Rollins, and he still draws. Whether he's champion or not, I think it'd be interesting to see how the chemistry between him and Drew McIntyre would be. Of course, he still has his faction, but I'm not sure exactly how they're gonna filter in the AOP and Murphy into it. But it's the writing's on the wall there if they go that route. That if they go with Seth, then it's McIntyre facing all these odds again, similar to Samoa Joe when he was champion and Kevin Owens when he was tag team champions.
Yeah, because the AOP, I know one of the guys is hurt. I think he has a ripped bicep. Murphy's sick, so
yeah.
I don't know when they're gonna go with that. So anyway, JM, thank you for being on my show. Tell everybody where they can reach you at, where they can find you, and you know what I'm saying. And the stage is yours right now.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on. I know it's something we discussed about for a long time, but life.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
But no, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Just search for Good Old JM. And also, I have a YouTube channel where I have my GM report on a weekly basis, and I upload it on Fridays. And whenever I can, once in a while, I try to get interviews with those within the business. And those episodes I call Talking with JM. I've spoken to members of the original Glow roster, such as Hollywood, Envy, the Royal Hawaiian.
Yeah,
those episodes. YouTube channel also.
Yeah, that's very that Glow. I'm trying to see if I can find it. And what is it? Netflix. I want to check those seasons out because I know you've been talking to our girl, Lady Yanka, about that. I know you had a couple of interviews with her.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Also, Lady O, yeah. And I believe this is the last season for Glow on Netflix this summer. If they don't postpone that, I don't see why they would. But
all right, buddy. All right, buddy. Thanks again, bro. I know the last time we tried to do an AEW review or preview, and things didn't get. But you know what? You're my WWE guy, so you watch it more than I do. I try to stay, in it, but sometimes it gets aggravating, and I grabbed my remote. So,
Again, I appreciate that, and keep up the good work, man. You're
all
doing
right,
great.
thanks a lot, man. All right, have a good night, guys. Thank you for joining us at the Chokeslam Wrestling Report. I will be back again Thursday with an AEW review. Until then, have a good night.